Welcome to the Healthy Lifestyle Show podcast. Our podcast is all about eating healthy, being active, and living a healthy lifestyle. We believe living healthy should be easy. That's why we have a free ebook at healthylifestyleformula.com, which can help you start your healthy lifestyle journey in easy-to-follow steps. Let's jump into this week's podcast topic and welcome our guest. Well, welcome back, Gene. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, and it's good to be back.
Excellent. So I think we're continuing our thyroid talk, are we not?
Yes, this is going to be a series, so yeah, for sure we're going to continue with that. And I wanted to share something which happened during the weekend, last weekend.
Okay.
We did our podcast last week, and then I happened to be in, with some of my friends and some of, I wouldn't say if they are friends, but at least I know them, remotely. And they got me and came down to talk about that, hey, I saw you on this podcast. And they didn't know anything about that I do podcasting.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, I watched that episode on thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very good. Thanks for sharing all that personal connection, the story and everything else, what you have gone through. And we're certainly looking for more and more on that. And I say, oh my God, out of nowhere, this guy I met after so many years.
Yeah.
And he recognized and, he said that, when I was watching, I immediately realized that I know you. And he said that he was mentioning to all of his friends that, hey, I know this guy.
Yeah.
It was really funny also at the same time. But anyway, that's good to know that.
Yeah.
That people do appreciate some of this information, which we talk about. And our goal is just to, share, and because sharing is caring.
Yes.
You never know which one you're going to touch. You never know who's going to use this information. You never know, somewhere out of nowhere, you can't even think of the name of the country, or you may not even know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of reach we may have sometimes through these podcasts.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say thank you very much, buddy. I know who you are, and I'm talking to you. So, thanks for sharing. That means a lot to me, and thanks for motivating me, and appreciate the support. So, I think today I want to talk about something which he said I should be talking about.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason I can't put the names over here, because I haven't taken permission from him that I was talk about his name and all that. So, I normally avoid taking names over here.
That's fair enough. Not everybody wants to be either, so.
Yeah,
better
that's
safe than sorry.
Absolutely, yeah. So, he said that why not we focus more on some of the thyroid symptoms?
Yeah.
And I say, that's an interesting way to communicate.
Yeah.
Even though I want to caution everybody who's listening to this podcast or watching this podcast that if you ever think that you have some of the thyroid challenges, go and see a doctor.
Yes.
But at the same time, educate yourself.
Yeah.
An educated person can take care of himself or herself much better.
Yes.
Right?
Sure can.
And that's why we do all of this education.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's so many health issues related to thyroid.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about all of that.
Okay.
I'm going to just focus on two, hypothyroid and hyperthyroid. There's so many other things, Hashimoto, Graves' disease, so many other things,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about those issues over here because those are extremely complicated.
Yes.
And no matter what we do, at the end, when we talk about the thyroid foods, when we talk about the diet for thyroid health, and no matter what kind of issues you have, eating healthy is never going to be wrong. Eating the right foods, what's required for your thyroid health, is never going to be wrong. Unless you have food allergy, then of course you're going to keep an eye on those issues. So today, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on a little bit, not too much, on what happens when how can you even feel that, you may have thyroid issues. Now, one more thing, before I talk about it, I wanted to caution here to everybody that some of the symptoms when I talk about could be general in nature. Because those are the signs, those are the things you have to keep an eye. And also, stress is one of the biggest factors in any of these modern health issues. And thyroid is one of those. So if you're leading a very, very stressful life, guess what? The very first thing before I even talk about symptoms, I would say, slow down. Manage your stress. Maybe I should talk about the lifestyle modification in the next video, because that can be very, very interesting for some people, because, I'm not talking about here any kind of maths. I'm not talking about any kind of medications, pills, this and that. I'm just talking about simple lifestyle modifications which anybody can do it. So let me talk about those maybe the next time. But before I talk about, I know I'm delaying on the symptoms here, but I wanted to take care of one more thing. I know I have so many one more thing over here, If thyroid runs in your family, your grandpa, your great-grandpa, your great-great-grandpa, or your on mother's side, hey, your dad, your mom, or anybody on their family side, if they had thyroid issues, guess what? You have to be extra cautious. You can delay the thyroid as long as you follow the right kind of routine, but you are more prone to getting thyroid than the other person who does not have any family member falling in that scenario. Just so you know, because your DNA does have that
a higher potential.
And so anybody who's in that situation, I always suggest, as a friend, that, hey, why wait for some of that? Why not be extra cautious? And modify your lifestyle, modify your food habits, manage your stress, and do all of that. Which is much easier rather than taking a pill.
Absolutely.
Because with the pill, you always get some side effects. Okay, I think enough of that, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now I should talk about hypothyroid symptoms, because that's a little bit more personal as I got it. You remember I was in a very, very extreme, stressful situation of 1 year. And I got thyroid and hypothyroid, I should say, because of all of that.
So what exactly does hypothyroid mean?
So hypothyroid, if I have to give, there are two types of. Hypo is is it a Greek word or is it an English word?
Not sure.
Okay. When you have too little iodine, you remember I talked about, I think in last video, a little bit about iodine connection?
I think so.
I vaguely remember, I don't remember now. Then too little iodine in the body system, the chances are you may get hypothyroid. And too much iodine in your system, you may get hyperthyroid. So in case of hypothyroid, you may start feeling tired, sluggish. I still remember my days when I was getting up, I used to have headache. And I used to feel I slept the whole night.
Yeah.
Why I'm so tired?
Mm-hmm.
Why I can't even think properly? So you start having mental fogginess.
Yeah.
You start realizing that, oh gosh, I'm sluggish.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see any reason because, hey, you're eating, you sometimes you don't even realize that, your body is telling you something.
Yeah.
And in that stressful situation where I was,
Yeah.
I was never paying attention to my own health. I was always paying attention to my wife's health.
Yeah.
So I was ignoring many of these things. Oh, it's okay. Come on. You're a man. You can handle it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very typical
Ve-
attitude.
Very typical. And hey, just take coffee.
Yeah.
And maybe when I talk about the foods and all those kind of things, or lifestyle,
Yep.
coffee is not very good. It's not a conducive habit
Yeah.
for those people who deal with thyroid. But
Okay.
at the same time, when you take coffee, you feel better.
Yeah.
So you start establishing a connection.
Yeah.
Oh, coffee makes me good.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. I should take it more and more.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's very, very interesting. We'll talk about next time.
Yeah. Okay.
There's another major issue for hypothyroid folks.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I gained weight during that time.
Yeah.
And anybody who's dealing with hypothyroid challenges,
Yeah.
they tend to gain weight very quickly,
Oh.
even when they take low-calorie
Yeah.
diet.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing, I think, in one of the episodes I talked about in the paleo diet, I think,
Yeah.
or maybe well before that the best way to manage weight loss
Mm-hmm.
is that you start, reducing your calories every day.
Yeah.
So like if your body needs, depending on your activity and your age and everything else, let's say for a hypothetical scenario,
Mm-hmm.
your body needs 2,000 calories every day. So rather than taking 2,000 calories, if you want to lose weight, you start taking maybe 1,800, maybe 1,600. Slowly, you can start reducing it.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that is, because your body is not taking that many, is not getting those calories, it starts withdrawing from its own bank. And these banks are like all the fat which you have stored in different parts of your body.
Yeah.
So, but in case of hypothyroid,
Mm-hmm.
before we even talk about the weight loss, I think I shouldn't talk about weight loss now.
Yeah.
It's the basic first goal is stop gaining weight.
Yeah.
So even when you're taking low calorie food
Mm-hmm.
or low calorie diet,
Yeah.
you may still gain weight.
Wow.
That's why, it's very, very common. Hypothyroid is one of the most common thyroid health issues.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's all interconnected sometimes, that obesity or being overweight is a real recipe for modern health issues.
Yeah.
Right? I think many people know about that,
Yeah.
but they don't pay attention to that. You invite thyroid, you invite cholesterol, you invite blood sugar, you invite so many other issues.
Yeah.
And now, as you can see, that when you have thyroid,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have obesity, it's kind of a recipe where thyroid is going to say, "Oh, I'm happy. We can gain more and more weight,"
Yeah.
and that's why those people have tough time losing weight.
Okay.
There are ways and means to manage those situations. Again,
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle modifications. Again, your food habits, your diet, your meal planning, all of that, and of course, at the end, based on your needs, you still not need to talk to your doctor,
Yeah.
because God knows what other issues are there. So you need to really take care of all of that.
Yes.
So coming back to hypothyroid, you can see here that you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling fogginess. You start losing hair.
Oh.
Most of my hair I lost in that period.
Oh, goodness.
I used to have very, very kind of really good density of hair. And you start, the hair thinning starts.
Oh, okay.
So so it's not only loss of hair, before loss of hair starts, thinning of hair starts.
Oh, wow.
Skin dryness or scalp dryness. These two are common challenges. Coming back to the sleep, you start feeling even after 8 hours of sleep, I need more. I need more sleep. And that's very, very common. So you start, basically sleep is one of the, I would say, lifestyle modification that your body needs more sleep. So you better go to bed early. I know sometimes people might say, hey, I can't sleep early. Come on, you just have to modify your habit. I've met people who go to bed even at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and they sleep well because they have made that as a habit. They avoid coffee being taken late. They avoid taking any kind of other drinks where it's going to cause an issue with their sleep. You just have to modify everything accordingly. So I hope that gives you a picture for hypothyroid.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, hyperthyroid is just the opposite of that.
Okay.
So you may feel like in the case of hypo, you remember you have to sleep more. In case of hypothyroid, you may face with insomnia.
Oh, okay.
So you might start counting the, what do you count? The sheep. Yeah, that's right. You may start experiencing heart palpitations, increased pulse rate, even when you're sitting like this. You may start sweating during the night time, so it's night sweat. And you start feeling nervous, you start feeling a little bit of kind of emotional for no reason sometimes. Now, you have extreme difficulty of gaining weight. Because it's, remember, easy to gain weight, difficult to gain weight. That's where, these are the signs that you may have hyperthyroid. But remember, life is not that simple. So the best thing is educate yourself by listening or watching to a podcast like this or reading books and go and see a doctor. I always say that the best person or best patient is the one who has educated himself or herself. And then go and see a doctor, because now you can talk more intelligently with your doctor. Doctor loves it. Not in every country, just so you know. In some country, they don't have any time. And they say, oh, I don't have a time, But, in the Western society, they'll go an extra mile to educate you about it. They'll try their best to tell you everything about it. There is no dearth of time when it comes to sharing with you. And if you already know most of these kind of things, then it makes doctor happier, because doctor knows that he can support you much better because you already know some of this.
Well, and if you've done the research, you're on board with it, you're going to follow the plan a lot better.
That's right.
Than if you're like, well, I don't know.
You also know then, what kind of medication, what kind of lifestyle modification, what kind of food changes, because many times doctors are not up to speed in terms of foods because they rely on nutritionists. And sometimes by the time you're seeing a nutritionist, it's kind of further down the road. So why wait? Why not make these changes even before you even see this coming to your life? Why not avoid this whole thing? And hey, stay healthy by making some minor modifications like lifestyle, and foods. So maybe next episode,
Okay.
I should talk about the lifestyle modifications.
Sounds good.
And after that, I think I would talk about foods and, those kind of things.
Okay.
I think that's what I wanted to talk about.
Sounds good.
All right?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time. If you want to start your healthy lifestyle journey, don't forget to get your free ebook at healthylifestyleformula.com to start your healthy lifestyle journey in easy to follow steps. This podcast is brought to you by healthylifestylepodcast.com.